Claim your free AirPods today by clicking the first link in the description down below.
r/AskReddit. What are some unethical and possibly illegal life hacks? I went to a university where the student to parking ratio was extremely terrible. You would basically have to show up 2 hours before class if you lived off campus to get a parking spot. Personally, I lived on campus, so for me parking wasn't that bad unless I left the campus before 5 PM. So every time I walked to my car later in the day, I noticed that a parking spot right in the front, prime piece of parking, always had an orange cone on it. There was nothing wrong with it. It just had an orange cone. Later that semester I had to go get something out of my car in the morning and see a guy drive up to the cone spot, get out of his car, put the cone in the trunk, and proceed to park. Turns out this guy has been doing this for months, using the cone to reserve his spot. Apparently no one ever questions or moves the cone when he places it back on the parking spot when he leaves. TLD, Dr. Guy used an orange cone to reserve prime parking spot. No one ever questioned it. I have one like this. When I was in college, they did a good deal of construction around campus, as is pretty normal on college campuses. My buddy used to keep a cone in his trunk and park up on the curb and simply place a cone on his roof. Apparently the cone on the roof shtick was an unofficial sign that this car belonged to a contractor/construction person, and as a result, he never got a ticket. He did this for nearly 1.5 years and then graduated. Orange cones are objects of great power. In a fist fight, if the other guy goes down, immediately get on top of him. Wrap your non-dominant hand around his throat and lean into it with your body weight. His first instinct will be to go for your arm to stop you from strangling him, and he will leave his face unprotected. Use those few moments to land a few really solid punches with your dominant hand. Edit. After seeing how many upvotes and responses this has, I should point out that I don't have the slightest clue if it would actually work. I completely made it up in the time it took me to type the post. Holy hit. That's genius. Too bad I'd be the one on the ground in the fight. Edit. Spelling. Yo, where you live. I found this cool life hack I want to try. If you unplug the Ethernet cable from a Coinsta machine, it won't charge a commission. Not too suspicious to squeeze behind a big as money machine without someone questioning you. Edit. Poor grammar. Thanks for you 2 cents. Edit 2. We get it. You pretend to drop a couple coins. This should be fine if you act as if you belong there. Tip from up the list. Take a penny. Never leave a penny. Here in Canada we decided pennies were stupid. Gathered them all up and melted those duckers down to make useful things. Now it's take a nickel/dime/button/whatever else is in the former penny tray. Take a nickel. Leave a pickle. Take a dime. Leave a rhyme. Take a button. Leave a duck buttons. Nothing rhymes with buttons. Struggling to write CV or can't get a particular job? Post fake job offerings on websites such as Indeed.co.uk for that position you're interested in and watch the CVs/resumes pour in, which you can then copy for your own advantage. But won't I just be copying all the other jobless losers? Not if you hire one. If you're going to the movie theater, hide snacks in your pockets. Unless the theater explicitly bans food from the room, it's totally fine usually, and most employees don't get paid enough to care. Get caught and really want to be unethical? If they tell you to throw it away, just make up a condition that would require you to intake more food. Diabetics and hypoglycemics need sugar. Edit. I should not be a doctor. As a movie theater employee, you're right. I don't care enough. Bring whatever you want. Edit. Wow. Thanks for gold, stranger. I was ripping tickets once and saw a guy had some White Castle sliders in his pockets. As long as he cleaned up his trash I didn't care. On another note, if you bring sunflower seed, peanuts, or anything with a shell and just use the floor as a trash can, I hope your car gets totaled. I've noticed that it only takes about 2 or 3 prompts, spread out temporally, to instill a false memory in someone. Why not just put a spinning top in a safe in their childhood home? Of course you need to get them asleep first. I think that's how it works. Still don't fully understand that little part of the movie. The best public bathrooms in a city are in the expensive hotels. Totally. I work security in a fancy hotel and I'll only stop you if you look homeless. Edit. Apparently this is some people's first introduction to classism, but yes, this is how the world works. Anyway, I ask anyone to leave who might make the paying guests uncomfortable, and no one has any right to use our private facilities or be on our private property any more than they have a right to hit in your house. My city has a lot of services for homeless people. They have places to go. Spare me the snide and unprofound comments. Poor homeless people. Photocopy the out of order signs at the computer lab so you can reserve one for yourself later if you have a problem with it being full. Edit. Because people keep asking. Yes. Practically every school and university/college I know of has at least one computer lab. A lot of people have laptops, but not everyone. I personally have one, but prefer not to have to bring it with me to my university because the battery life is crap and the school monitors are much larger. The internet connection isn't bad at all either. The computers are more than adequate for all my school needs and flash games. Disclaimer, I have never actually tried this. But if it's packed, and there are people around you, how do you just plop down at an out of service computer and proceed to use it like normal? With confidence. Put a NSFW tag on your posts to get more karma. This won't apply to all parking garages, but I used to park at one where, right before I paid my ticket at that vending machine type doohickey, I would walk back to the entrance gate, press the button for another ticket, and pay instead with the new one. I would be charged according to my stay of 30 seconds, when in reality I had been there for hours. I did this for about a year and I calculated that I scammed over $2,000 from a garage. They caught on and changed the sensors that would allow getting a ticket. Now only the weight of a car will allow you to get a ticket. Edit. Many of you are saying it's likely a metal detector, which it may be now. But the reason I believed it was weight is that to get my free ticket, I would walk in from outside down the ramp and walk over the sensor to get another ticket on my way in. I wouldn't have any metal on me, but now I think all you guys are right. They probably switched to a detector. So on to buying magnets. Just have your mom get it then. By adding a random one-way third leg onto a round-trip flight, you can sometimes fool the airline into dropping the fuel charges that usually add $300 $400 onto the ticket. It's called a fuel dump by frequent flyers. Example. Let's say you want to save some money on your honeymoon to Tahiti. Search on Expedia for a flight from Los Angeles, LAX, to Tahiti, PPT, that departs on October 22nd and returns on October 28th. The cheapest trip is on Air France for $1.450. Now, try setting this up as a multi-leg journey on Expedia. The first two flights are the same as the above, but also add a third leg on November 23rd from Rio de Janeiro, gig, to Vitoria, Vix. The total price of the ticket drops to $1.157. Using Air France for the LAX PPT flights and Air France's partner GOL for the regional Brazilian flight. You don't even have to fly the third leg. Call the airline and cancel after you finish the Tahiti trip. The third leg is scheduled far enough out that the frequent flyer miles from the actual trip should have already posted, so you won't lose out on them. Why does it work? The total price of an airline ticket is constructed using a complex set of rules and algorithms, especially for how to calculate all the taxes and fees and allocate them to the various government agencies and airlines involved in your trip. One of the biggest fees of all is the fuel surcharge that almost every airline charges for international trips, rather than make you pay $500 in base fare, all of which is subject to a 7.5% US government excise tax, assuming a US departure. They will charge you $250 in base fare and $250 as a fuel surcharge that is not subject to the tax. Airline charges you the same, but pockets more. In certain cases, the algorithm for calculating when to add a fuel charge is not properly programmed to handle trips that involve multiple airlines across multiple geographies. By paying $50 or so for a one-way ticket in Brazil, The system neglects to add $350 in fuel fees for the trip to Tahiti. For a net savings of $300. There is a healthy but secretive subculture of frequent flyers who fill forums with the details when they find a combination of 1. Tickets with a low base fare and high fuel charge. I have seen transatlantic flights with a $50 base and $400 fuel charge. And 2. The right glitch in the matrix where you can make that charge go away by booking a third leg. You can use an MT Visa Rewards bank card to make in-flight purchases. The cards cannot be run while in flight, so all transactions are completed once you land. So you can receive any item you want for free. There is no way to track the failed transaction because your information is not tied to the card. My friend is a pilot and I have done this for years. But it could be tied to your seat number, which most likely is tied to your info. Holy hit. RIP inbox. Also, highest comment. Thanks all. So, just works on Southwest then? Piracy. Water type or movie downloading type? Both I suppose. If someone says, "Do you love me?" and you're about to have X, say yes no matter what. Edit. Grammar. Never tell crazy you love them. Well, this is an ethical life hacks. As long as you have an out planned, it might be okay. Did this in college. Buy all your textbooks and keep the receipts. Return to the store later, that day or a few days later. Most bookstores don't give 100% refunds after the first week. Grab the book you bought off the shelf. Take the book to the cashier and tell them you want to return it and show your receipt. If they require a reason, say you dropped the class or are sharing the book with a friend. Get money back and leave. Never paid for books and got money back on Resil at the end of the term. Most cashiers they have. Especially at the beginning of the term, when you are buying books, are temporary. Student workers who don't give a hit most of the time. Edit. Guys, I know it is ducking illegal. The thread title asks for illegal life hacks. I'm following the mantra of the thread. YMMV. I'm not saying this would work everywhere. Just that it worked for me. Some people have replied noting that it has worked for them. Some others have replied saying it works anywhere. I haven't done it since 2007, but I work in higher education and with several bookstores and have seen it will still work in some places. You don't have to say you're dropping the course. Say you found it cheaper, sharing etc. Again, some stores may have an all sales final policy. Book serial numbers, ISBN, are the same for each edition. Volume, run, etc. Books are going to have the same barcode and serial number if you're doing this right. Yes, you could buy the books and the photocopy the book or the pages you needed and also return. Cam Scanner app is your friend. Holy hit. No way this works. Edit. Like this guy said, carrot calm your tits people, it's the theme of the thread, vertical bar. As long as your bookstore or bookstores still have it set up where students pick up the books in the store and take them to the register for payment. Both of the bookstores at my institution changed their setup because they caught wind of this, so now there is a barrier between books and the rest of the store. It still works with the current setup because a student worker just goes and gets your book and then gives it to you. Lol. Bankruptcy won't discharge student loans. Get 50k in credit. Pay off student loans. Make minimum payment for 6 months. Stop paying for 6 months. Let them go to collections. File for bankruptcy. Bankruptcy will cost you $2k. You are now debt free. Honestly, this is the only get out of jail free card left for graduates who are underemployed. Edit. For all the naysayers who say it can't be done, that you can't use credit cards to pay a student loan, as if no one ever in history has used a credit card to make a student loan payment. Here is a foolproof breakdown that not even internet lawyers can't shoot down. The thing with students' loans is that you can't discharge them in bankruptcy. You can't settle the amount. You have to pay in full. You can defer, but that still screws you. You can't get a break on students' loans. Some of you realize that you don't make enough money to ever get out from underneath these loans. This is a way out. First off, you are placing your credit on the sacrificial altar. You will destroy your credit with this plan. But you have a true chance at freedom. If you'd rather die a debt slave before having a bad credit rating, this plan isn't for you. What you are trying to do is convert the student's loans into something you can negotiate with. Worst case scenario, you settle for pennies on the dollar. Best case scenario, you pay nothing. This plan doesn't work if you are already broke. But if it is going to take you 20 years to get out from under your student loans, then it will work. This plan will take a few years to pull off. But you weren't gonna get rid of your debt in a few years anyway. With my plan you have a chance to be debt free. First off, it is not hard to build credit. Build your credit. Get multiple cards to where you have enough credit to pay off your student loans. Google search on how to do this. Don't go into debt other than student loans. Secure the credit. 10 credit cards with 5k each is ideal. I'll explain later. Okay, here is the deal. 1. You've built up a mediocre credit score and you have enough credit to nearly pay off student loans. 10 credit cards with 5k each is ideal. I'll explain later. 2. Your debt to credit ratio looks awesome here. Now the plan begins. You begin to live off your credit cards. Gas, groceries, rent, car repair, whatever your living expense are, use the credit cards. 3. Since you are living off credit, you now have a full paycheck to send to your student loans. Each month you are sending $3,000 to your student loans. Do not use credit cards to pay the student loans. Send the cash from your paychecks. 4. Once the student loans are paid off, you now have 50k in unsecured debt. Anyone who looks it over will see that you spent that money on living expenses. Time to pull the plug. Stop paying all of your credit cards. Save up your money and get prepared. 5. Credit cards won't negotiate with you until you are 180 days past due. At that point, begin settling for pennies on the dollar. You have 10 credit cards at 5k each. Tell each one of them that you are thinking about declaring bankruptcy if you can't settle. Offer $1,250 to settle the 5k balance, 25 cents on the dollar. Tell them that you have 9 other creditors to call. If they don't take it, then someone else will. And that they are at risk of getting nothing at all if they don't settle. This works. Some creditors play ball. Some don't. This is your chance to settle before they write off your debt and sell it to a collections agency. 6. So let's say you didn't settle with any of them. You should have been saving your money. This is important. You need $5k in reserves. Well, if you didn't settle, nothing is going to happen. You are going to collections and you will get nastygrams, but that is it. Check your state. But statute of limitations is 4 years for California. That means that, unless they sue you and get judgment, they have no legal recourse to get their money back. That can't garnish your wages, nothing. They are hit out of luck. So a month before the statute of limitation you will get sued by these 10 junk debt creditors, maybe. 7. Have your debt lawyer. Has to be a credit card debt lawyer. Answer each lawsuit. Do not do this on your own. You will duck yourself. You've been saving up your money for this. The junk debt creditors literally have thousands of claims that are about to expire, so they file a suit as a last-ditch effort. If you just ignore it, then they automatically win the lawsuit. This is a numbers game and it works. Many people just ignored it. This whole process takes another year. 8. Here is why you want to keep each credit card under 5k. In most states, under $7,500 is small claims court. The chances of a junk debt creditor actually following through and taking the case to trial is slim to none. Especially if you have a lawyer who knows his stuff and will fight it. These junk debt creditors don't even have the paperwork necessary to prove that you owe the debt. So if it went to trial, your lawyer could get it tossed out easy. Trials cost money for these guys. They have to spend money to take you to trial, and if they lose, they've lost even more money. You're basically too much of a hassle to bother with, so they drop suit. 9. Now on the off chance that they do pursue this, and the junk debt creditor has done his homework, just settle the damn thing. 20 cents on the dollar or less. 10. Let's say, impossible scenario, You get sued by all 10 creditors for 5k each. Declare bankruptcy. That will knock the judgments down or eliminate them completely. If they ask what you spent it on, all the credit card statements will show living expenses, not student loans. How are they going to put you on the hook for this? It was years ago. You irresponsibly used credit cards and you can't make the payments. Just like everyone else. They cannot prove you pulled this huge scheme to get out of your student loans. At this point it has been 5 years since you last made a credit card payment. You either paid nothing or settled 50k in debt with $10,000. In 2 more years all of those black marks will have fallen off your credit report and you'll be back at a 720 rating and debt free. It's totally ducking worth it. Get 50k in credit. Oh. Okay, I'll get right on that. I can help here. D. Whether your credit score sucks or not. Let's get this party started. So you got a credit card with some fairly low limits. Sucks. Now get an American Express card. A legit one direct from American Express. It can't be one simply branded as Amex. In 61 days after your card opening date, you can attempt to get a 300% credit limit increase. Clee. This is a cool gamble because usually the wait periods for asking are 6 months. B. Amex Clees do not show up on your credit report, as it is a soft pull. Hard pulls do show up, and each one slightly lowers your credit score temporarily. C. When you get the 300% higher limit, other credit companies will be more inclined to at least match that limit, so that you use their cards more often. After a month or 2, give the 151 time to appear on your credit report. Request a credit limit increase from your other cards. Rinse and repeat. The Amex card will also be on 6-month minimum asking intervals too. Once you get past 4 figures, you will be at or over $50k in no time. Enjoy your 20s. When I was running low on food, I would eat the free breakfast at the hotel 2 minutes from my apartment. My strategy here was to walk to the elevator first, go up a floor, go back to ground, and conspicuously walk from the elevator to the breakfast. Edit. I definitely meant conspicuously. As in, to emphasize that my point of origin was the elevator. They all knew.